Hello and welcome back to live coverage of the Apex Gaming $5,000 Standard Invitational Qualifier. I'm Todd Tandy Anderson, joined by Corey Baumeister. Corey,
hey.
How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah.
It's been a nice tournament so far. A lot of good deck diversity.
Yeah.
Seen some good play. No complaints from me.
Look, all I know is I need you to tell me and chat.
Okay.
Who's better in this seat, me or Ross? All right, don't answer now. Wait till the end of the broad.
Okay.
Wait until one of us is dead, and then tell us.
Okay, yes.
You can't handle the shame.
In our late age, I'll disclose it. Absolutely.
Age. Yeah. All right, we've gone through 4 rounds of Swiss already. With 45 players, we're at 6 rounds today. We're about to be moving into round number 5. We're going to be watching Brendan Lane on Mono White High Noon, Mono White Tokens, against Jacob Fumich on Izzet Prowess. Now,
Yep.
We actually watched this matchup 2 rounds ago, Brendan Lane on Mono White versus Gabe Body on Prowess.
Yeah.
I was off camera while you and Ross were handling it, but it seemed like Brendan threw it away.
Yeah, there was that spot where Brendan could have played a little more defensively and, got him to a spot where he wouldn't have lost the game immediately to a Burst Lightning. And then honestly got pretty unlucky when it came to Game 3, not hitting land 4 over multiple courses of the turn. So I would definitely favor Brendan Lane on this Mono White deck. It looks like an anti-Izzet deck to me. Yeah. You know, there's going to be certain matchups you don't want to play against. You don't want to play against Demir Midrange and Kaido and stuff like that with this kind of deck. But I want to be playing against Corey Steelcutter all day and night when I got High Noon in my deck as a 4 of.
Yeah, High Noon is one of those cards that when you see it and you're a deck that's trying to be prowessy, it just is such like a gut punch.
Yeah.
So bad to come down.
Whenever it turns Corey Steelcutter into just factual 2-mana equip, you get haste, and that's it. You know, haste, +1/+1. It ends up not being good enough, that's for sure.
Yeah, Corey Steelcutter has somewhat define this format and multiple other formats since it's printing.
Yeah.
High Noon was something we saw a lot in Pioneer last year to combat the slick shot show off red decks that started popping up in Pioneer out of the Rakdos.
Yeah, is it Phoenix or something like that? Yep, for sure.
Seeing it against Corey Steelcutter makes perfect sense. So
yeah,
I can definitely see why Brendan picked it.
Really does take all the really firepower out of Corey Steelcutter, and especially with Brendan going and just bringing in 3 authority of the council that we saw as well. You know, there's some powerful enchantments here, but die roll still very important. And if you ever see Lane stumble at all, Izzet Prowess is not a forgiving deck. It will just trounce you.
Yeah, and sometimes even when you play High Noon, they'll still 1 to turn you.
Yeah,
One card to turn you, trigger on my prowess.
Yeah, get you low, and then, you're at 4 Burst Lightning upstairs, you know? So it's not impossible on High Noon, but man, when you start on turn 2 on the play with High Noon, it gets pretty close to impossible.
Yeah. All right, so that's the matchup. We got Brendan Lane, Mono White, High Noon, Jacob Fumich, Izzet Prowess.
Yep.
2 Titanic players here on the Apex Invitational Series. Both players are members of our Apex Predators from last year's Invitational. That's those top 8 players that earned customized jerseys with their names on the back.
Ooh,
and
nice.
looks like they are ready to go. So let's head on down and watch these 2 monsters fight it out. We'll see who takes it down. It's going to be Fumich on your left in the red shirt, Lane on your right in the black shirt. Those are the 2 players closest to us. And it looks like we are ready to go. So we'll give them the green light and we'll be on our way.
Looks like a clean winning in as well. These players should be able to just shake hands next round as long as you don't get paired down. You don't run into those, sticky situations in the last round where you have to end up playing. So, yeah, kind of everything on the line when it comes to today.
All right. Players are getting the green light. And here we go. Game 1, round number 5 of 6. Fumich going to be on the play. Turn 1, Monastery, Swiftspear, Bangarang, 1 damage.
Big deal. And, okay. Brendan Lane was the person playing up against Jacob. So Jacob's already locked. Jacob is already good to go.
Oh, never mind.
Just kidding. Lost a match within the amount of time that I said that. So, brutal.
Great start, though. Swiftspear into Slickshot Show-Off. No plotting to be done here. Just trying to get in the damage. But Brendan Lane does have the lock. High Noon means Fumich can only play 1 spell a turn. We'll see if he's able to use the Slickshot Show-Off and Swiftspear to deal some damage right now.
I know you weren't in the booth, but this is very eerily similar of the last time that we saw Brendan Lane play. It was on the draw, High Noon, and get some stuff going.
Oh, my God.
This was not the turn 3, though. I'll tell you that.
Oh, my God. We played into the Flood Maw, bouncing casting the High Noon, we're going to get massive
that's a monstrous
damage.
rage. I mean, that's got to be the max amount of damage you can do.
Is this 20?
I was just going to say, this can't be lethal,
It
right?
might be. That's monstrous rage. Okay, count it up. Swiss Spirit, that's 1.
We got
Then
14.
2, 3, 4. Slick Shot is 5. Then we got 6, 7 from the Flood Maw, 8, 9 from the Sleight of Hand, 10, 11 from the Monstrous Rage, and then the Monstrous Rage ability is +2 and the thing. So how much was that?
I got 14.
All right.
Yep.
See if Lane has a temporary lockdown.
Yeah, that is that's a solid turn there, that's for sure. It pretty much has to be there. Carrot Cake, not really what the doctor ordered. And there should be a roll on one of those creatures. Not sure which one, but you kind of can't half resolve a thing.
All right. And Lane just packs it in. All right. Luckily, we didn't have to go stop it. But that's Izzet Prowess in a nutshell. Those are the games I was looking for today.
Yes.
Izzet Prowess, Mono Red, get to some backup matches. Everyone else who comes in the booth is like, I don't want to watch that. I want to watch the 50-minute domain mirror. Right? And then we don't get to watch any other matches. But we're going to watch an entire match in 8 minutes, and then we're going to watch an entire another match.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, things will slow down a little bit in the post-board games, but yeah, that was about as fast as it gets.
Look.
Really impressive stuff.
Let's just tell it like it is. Into the Flood Maw. Just such a powerful card. Yeah,
very versatile, and whenever you can break serve on High Noon, it really puts the pressure on just saying that Izzet Prowess deck, if it has the best possible draw, it's going to win, and that's just how dynamic of a deck it is. But if it stumbles, it looks a lot less impressive.
All right, so as these players are looking to their sideboards for some help, I'm going to look to Corey for some help. Why don't you give me a rundown on Brendan Lane's mono white deck and how he's going to sideboard against this Izzet Prowess Menace?
Okay, so looking at this, I want to bring in the enchantments. I want to bring in the 3 authorities. I want to bring in High Noon. That's probably it. As this deck does feel pretty pre-boarded already. Take out an Elspeth, maybe take out some Overlord, some of the more expensive stuff, maybe some Caretaker's Talents, but yeah, pretty much all ready to go with the Game 1 configuration.
All right, on the other side, Fumich's Prowess deck, has a lot of burn spells in it, but is there anything that you would recommend siding out, and what do you think is coming in?
Not a ton in this sideboard. You already have your 3 into the Flood Maws, and your This Town Ain't Big Enough already in the main deck to be able to deal with other High Noons. You can bring in these Raw Planeswalkers, even if you can only cast 1 spell a turn. That kind of value you gain can really add up. As well as Eddie Merc Crab, something we don't normally see in the sideboards of these Izzet deck. Actually looks kind of good here. If you're just trying to sidestep authority and sidestep High Noon, a 5/5, even if it doesn't come down until turn 4 or 5, could be pretty decent at finishing the game off, as well as some Disdainful Strokes look pretty good as well.
All right, these players are about ready to go for game number 2, so let's just head on back down. We'll watch Fumich draw a 6-card opener. Brendan Lane's going to be on the play with 7 cards in his mono white deck. We'll start here in just a sec.
Yeah, that was not a close game. That is for sure. So, no. Brendan Lane looking to, I would say, do a little more, but his draw was good. His draw was perfectly reasonable. That turn 3 had to be something bigger than just a cake. Yeah,
it had to be locked down.
It really did at that point. Split up. He ends up playing a couple of that card in the main as well. So it could have been 2 of those, but that's about it.
All right, Sunken Citadel, the land for Lane on 1. Going to pass it back. Fumich leads with Storm Chaser's Talent. We're going to go back to Lane. That's Carrot Cake on turn number 2. So, got the ball rolling, does Lane. We're going to scry 1. Going to look for one of those talents next turn to maybe start drawing some cards, yeah?
Yeah, that'd be good. Or just High Noon. It's going to be pretty much the main card in this matchup. And if Brendan can't find that card, he would have wished that he could switch the Carrot Cake draw for the High Noon draw of the last game.
Okay, well, we do have the infamous Core Steel Cutter here on turn number 2, but no free spell to follow it up. We see a free spell come in a lot of times in Modern, with Mishra's Baubles and things like that, but non-standard.
Yeah, not quite as supercharged in this format, but really telling of just the card in general that it's still the most popular thing to be doing in the format.
All right, here's Enduring Innocence for Lane. Going to pass it back now. Fumich with active Corey Steel going to start casting 2 spells a turn and getting those Monk tokens with Prowess, putting pressure on Lane. Let's see how he wants to navigate this turn.
Oh, wow. Look at this. Jacob left in Torch the Tower. That's the card where it's like really, really bad, except against Enduring Innocence, where it's really, really good.
Yeah.
So, man, this is going to just be an absolute beating of turn 3, just like last game was.
Well, that's Prowess in a nutshell. As long as you hit your second land drop, usually turn 3 is pretty spicy.
Yep, exactly.
But we're going to put 1 on bottom, 1 to hand with sleight of hand. And now we'll see if Fumich wants to go ahead and torch the tower on this Innocence so we can smush in.
Feels like you just have to. Pretty priced in there.
All right, so Monk token coming. Core Steel Cutter. We're going to send in with both.
Looks like that was the monstrous rage check. Isn't there? Otherwise, that would have just dealt an absurd amount of damage.
All right, here's a Beza. Now, normally Beza is quite good against red-based strategies, but in this particular instance against Core Steel, I feel like Core Steel is going to get to go super wide against it over time, but this is a really good stopgap for Brendan.
Yeah, I mean, it's still phenomenal here. You can, of course, still have things that go wrong. You know, it get bounced, monstrous rage, the other stuff, but now the whole turn from Jacob involves dealing with the Beza and then progressing the battlefield. So, great turn 4. Any white deck, you're very happy when you can gain 4 and put the 2 fish into play.
Yeah.
You feel caught
Did he draw
up.
a card as well? Like, how good was this Beza, right? Jeez.
I don't think drew a card, but maybe. Easily could. Whenever you get 3 modes, you know, just... Well, then you were really behind, so I guess you're just caught up, but,
Yes.
still.
That's Beza. All right, so we lead with Opt, and then we followed up with a Slick Shot Show Off. This is going to create another Monk token for Fumich. Now we're going to get in 1 flying with Slick Shot Show Off. The others are stalled out by the Beza.
Yeah, so a good setup turn. You know, if Brendan Lane has the ability to control the battlefield a little bit here, maybe just deal with Slick Shot Show Off, the most problematic threat so far, going to be looking real good.
Caretaker's Talents to play for Lane. Let's get Caretaker's Talent on the screen because this one is quite strong in general and one of the focal points of Lane's deck, allowing him not only to generate extra tokens but draw cards as well.
Has to be very worried, or I guess Jacob should be able to recognize this information that, well, we didn't use 1 mana to make another fish, so there has to be a Get Lost. If I'm Jacob, I'm like, all right, how do I best play around Get Lost? It's basically face up.
Yeah, and you just have to assume that the Get Lost is targeting the Slick Shot, right?
Definitely. And if that's going to be the case, maybe you wanted to jam that already. If there's a Spell Pierce, you all of a sudden just wrecked yourself really early if you're laying. So I would have Sorcery Speed that Get Lost for sure.
This is also a closed deck list, and I want to be clear. You know, there are cards in this format that are protective elements that you can play for like 1 blue mana. So even though you can play instants at instant speed, oftentimes you want to play them when your opponent shields are down.
Yeah. And the one thing that you have going for yourself, if you're trying to wait to get more value off your spells against this as a prowess deck, is, well, they do want to tap out early, or at least play 2 spells to get the value and then attack. So sometimes it can work out where it'd be like, all right, you played your 2 spells, you have nothing left, now I kill the show off. But even in that scenario, what are you really gaining? So if that 1 mana left and that 1 card left in hand is a Spell Pierce, I mean, devastating.
So Fumich here does play This Town Ain't Big Enough, going to return Beza to Lane's hand, as well as the Storm Chaser's talent. And now he's considering holding on to the talent to make sure that he can trigger the Quarry Steel next turn. But I think there's just too much prowess damage on the table, and Lane hasn't shown you a sweeper yet, so I would just jam here, put all your eggs in, slam a lemon ding dong. You probably still win even if Lane does have the sweeper next turn.
Yeah, your eggs are gigantic at this point, so get in there. You got to just assume Slick Shot's gone, but then the amount of damage you're bringing in here is a good solid 10 or more.
All right, let's see if these tokens want to block at all. But Slick Shot going to get blasted.
Oh.
No, instead, Lane's just going to make a token with the Carrot Cake, gain some life.
Much worse for Brennan Lane. As the Slick Shot Show Off just straight up deals 7 now. With the 3 life gain, it's kind of only dealing 4. But still pretty brutal. You know, this leads me to believe that we are lining up. I did see a Get Lost there, so that was a conscious choice, it looks like, unless we just drew it. But could be lining up a Day of Judgment, Sunfall, that type of thing for next turn.
All right, so it looks like Lane's just going to go block, block, block. I'll take 4, 11.
It's like 10,
13,
I would
14.
think. Could
I
be
think
wrong.
it's so the otter's 4, I think.
Oh, I didn't see that last otter get through. Yep. Then it was definitely +4.
It might have been only 3. Anyway, so gonna go back Lane's way. Let's see if he has a sweeper. Needs one pretty badly. Fumich has really put everything down.
Ooh.
It's just Beza, but it's gonna help a little bit. We get 2 tokens to keep blocking. We gain 4 more life up to 19. But the real kicker here is that Slickshot Show-Off is still alive.
Yep. And now we do have the get lost. Okay.
All right, lay down arms is the play on that Slickshot Show-Off. We're going to exile it. Fumich is going to gain some life.
And then has authority as well, or can just copy off this talent.
Yeah, we're going to play the Authority of the Console. Let's get that one on the screen if we can. This is actually an older card that was reprinted recently. 1 mana enchantment allows all your opponent's creatures to enter the battlefield tapped, which stops haste, importantly. But also, whenever an opponent plays a creature, you gain a life. So it's great against these red decks with haste and Core Steel Cutter. Here's into the Flood Maw. Going to bounce Beza as a blocker. Here's Sleight of Hand. Going to trigger everything. And now we're going to look at the top 2, looking for Monstrous Rage, looking for Burst Lightning, and we get to trigger this Core Steel, but it's tapped.
I would have liked to see Jacob do that in the opposite order, as you want to get full information before you bounce something. Probably wouldn't change the play too much, but you never know. It honestly might have. That was a stock up, so you might have sleight of hand into stock up, and then you could find a land to then bounce Beza. Still might have been maybe not the correct play, but always worth optimizing your kind of draws like that. This does not look like a lethal attack to me.
Looks like 13 to me. See if Fumich has anything.
Yeah, 13 to me as well.
One thing I want to check on, can we get Core Steel Cutter on screen? I think that the token is a forced creation, and that should give... Okay, it is. And Lane's going to gain a life off of the token coming in. When you cast your second spell each turn, create a 1/1. Okay, so
Yeah.
Lane's going to chump 2. He's going to take a ton of damage. Not quite dead yet, though. Needs a sweeper right now.
Didn't look like it. It looks like let's just keep beezing until the end of time.
Yeah.
And does still have a get lost as well, so Beza plus get lost maybe is enough, but the battlefield from Jacob just keeps getting wider and wider.
Well, here's a high noon, so at the very least, Fumich can only play 1 spell here to prowess up his team. The bad news for Lane, he's got a lot of creatures. With 3 blockers, it looks like 4 creatures are still going to get through, so a single prowess trigger should do it.
And there's stock up. There's a plethora of things to cast. So yeah, it should pretty much.
All right, and Lane rides on the wall. He knows he's dead. We'll just make sure that Fumich is going to declare attacks.
Yeah, and just nothing went right here for Brennan Lane for this match. Jacob's draw was just great, both games. And Brennan's draw was fine. But the thing is, he stumbled just a little bit, and this Izzet Prowess deck is not forgiving at all.
Well, 2 games, no sweepers. The first game was just very fast. It didn't matter. This game, no sweepers, got pummeled.
Yeah.
Fumich takes it 2-1, moving to 4-1 total. Brennan Lane going to move to 3-2. Likely not going to be able to make our top 8, but Ross informed me earlier that a couple X2s can still make top 8, so Brennan Lane going to hope for some tiebreakers to go his way, and he's got to win next round.
And honestly, if anyone would do it, it'd probably be Brennan Lane because, well, his opponent that beat him earlier is 4-0, and now you have another opponent here that just went to 3-1. So his breakers are going to be good.